to New Thought Tuesdays. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the Disneyland of New Thought Ancient Wisdom. It's Dean Regan and Rich Smith. This week, we're talking about what's stirring. We're going to talk about the subtle signs of spiritual awakening. And I will warn you, admit to you, get you all excited about, we're going to be talking politics today. Normally, we don't go in terms of a lot of political stuff, but there's so much appearance going on with political stuff that Rich and I are fully embracing it today. Aren't we, Rich?
Yeah, exactly. And, we're going to talk today about how what's happening in the political landscape is affecting spiritual awareness of what's going on. I just see an opening here that there's something transforming, there's something changing in people's consciousness. And a lot of it is like the situation that's going on that has people worried and scared and upset. It's just pushing them into becoming their greatest self, which is waking up spiritually. And so that's what we're going to talk about.
Absolutely. So this spiritual awakening, how can that possibly be that with all of this nonsense that's going on, all of this us and them and all of this upheaval and the firings and the embracings and all, how is it possible that there is a spiritual shift going on? That just doesn't make any human sense. Isn't it tragedy or amazingness, depending on your point of view, whether you're moving from the Republican standpoint or the Democratic standpoint or some other standpoint, independence? Isn't this great? Or isn't this horrible?
I think we're moving away from that. I don't think it's a matter of Republicans against Democrats, left against right anymore. It's a matter of what is evolving here. There's something evolving, something going on greater than we can even imagine. And if you're sitting on one side or the other side, you're either in fear or you're in faith. And you have, you believe that, oh, this is going to be good for our country, or whether this is going to be horrible for our country. Doesn't matter. It's happening. It's happening now. And there's an awakening taking place as a result of this. So I look at it like it's a good thing. I think it's shaking things up. It's waking people up. And isn't that what I believe, that's what life is all about? It's making that deeper connection to who you are as a spiritual being living a physical experience. And so to me, this whole thing that's going on, in the beginning, I was upset and angry. And now I feel like relaxed. I feel like, yeah, this is good. This is good because it's waking me up. And we'll talk about that. I got a little story I want to tell you guys about when I went to one of the rallies here in California, but talk about that later.
You call it a rally today, but when we were talking about it earlier, you were like, okay, what's it called? It's a protest? You said, yeah, it's a protest. But rally is much more in keeping with what I think we're talking about today. Though if protest is your choice, so be it. But it's your choice. It's our choice.
Yeah, one of the things I talked about last week is I was shooting a protest in downtown last week, and it was really weird because I saw this woman and she was Native American and dressed up in all this Native American garb, and she had incense and it was sage, and she was saging the place. When I interviewed her, talked to her, I found out that she just wants to sage the place to release that negative, fearful energy and bring in more of a positive energy. And it was just so weird to see in my video her saging and talking, and then in the background people have the picket signs and they're ready to fight. And it just, for me, that was my spiritual awakening. So when I was saying protest, and now I'm saying what am I saying?
Rally.
Yeah, rally. It just feels more comfortable to me that we're rallying together to make some changes, and we're going to do that spiritually. We're going to do that through love and peace and forgiveness and compassion and all of these other virtues that are of the infinite that we that this country needs anyways, right?
I think this country, this world is always evolving and requesting and having divine desires for that evolution, that next place, that step up. I believe that what is going on right now in the separation, apparent separation between the far right and the far left, which makes it sometimes easier to talk about, that there is a divine desire going on for change, for understanding. And I believe at some points there is a fear, doubt, and worry working itself in there. And so we know that when you're dealing with fear, doubt, and worry, the first place that you go to, and it's not oftentimes an easy step, is to a place of forgiveness. Now, this takes a certain amount of, I believe, an elevated awareness of goodness, that this is a friendly universe that we're working in. But just like, you were talking about this rally and this protest. Tell a little bit of the story of what you experienced when you were actually filming. At one point, you actually filmed yourself.
Oh, that was funny. Yeah. I was telling Dean earlier that, I was there mostly to document everything with my camera, and I'm shooting the videos and stuff like that. And then as I'm shooting, I'm going, well, I should be a part of this. I guess I feel like I'm getting, sucked into the, energy that's going on. So I turn the camera on me and going, put him in jail, lock him up, lock him up. And then I'm looking at going, what am I doing? This is me. So I went back to the peaceful rally again, that Native American woman. There was an awakening. For me, there was a spiritual awakening in that process of going to that rally, or, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, that you were actually getting into the quote spirit unquote of it, and started pushing against and doing the things that one does when one is protesting, and that it felt out of place for you.
Yeah.
That you tried it on, and it's like, it just felt out of place for you.
When I went there to fight, that's it. I'm going to join the fight. But when I say fight against what? We're not fighting against anything. We're rallying for something.
Standing.
This whole thing, and I took some notes there, that it's like a movie. The music shifts, the tension builds. All of a sudden, something's going to happen. If it's a horror film, something horrible is going to pop out at you. Or if it's a love story, they're going to fall in love. Something's going to happen. And you can tell by the signs of the time, the turbulence that's going on now, the current political situation and the climate, it kind of like makes me feel like that there's something big, greater than we can even imagine happening here right now, that this is a stage for a new, powerful, new act in the movie of our lives. There's a new act coming up. We don't know what that is, but my belief is that my highest good is always knocking on my door. As long as I stay connected to the divine within, to God ideas, then my highest good is always coming forth. And I don't know what that is. I'm not worried. I'm not scared about my future and what's going to happen, because I know that, we talked earlier about the guy in the Bible that was put in the lion's den, and he survived. He walked through it because he had faith. And so to me, that's what we're here for, Dean, is to build people's faith in something greater than them that's working in and as and through them.
Yep.
That's revealing itself now. I mean, you look at Marianne Williamson, who was running for president twice. She's bringing more of a spiritual nature, a spiritual idea to what's going on in the country. She started out really angry because the Democratic Party was against her,
Yep.
And she was really mad and angry. And now she's settled in. To her, this has been a spiritual awakening, even more deeper than she's ever been. And she's one of the most famous spiritual writers out there. She's written a number of books, and she's been the guru to the stars out here since the 1960s.
Well, and as this is going on, there's a lot of feeling going on. I'm having feeling about it. You've been having feeling about it. It's incorporating itself into my desire for action. But we can be aware that even with this turbulence that maybe we may be feeling, great, feel it, acknowledge it, be with it, and then determine what it is that your divine desire is. Don't just shove all this, oh, I'm scared and I'm fearful or fear, doubt, and worry or don't just push it down. Be with it. It's kind of like you were with some of your anger when you went into the protest, lock them up, do this, do that. And like, wait a minute. Can we take the shot again? Take two. This is not in alignment with what I believe and what I have faith in.
Yeah. And the thing that did it was seeing that woman saging the place, and amongst all this anger and lashing out of teeth. To me, that was meant just for me. That's not egotistical or whatever, but I was looking for answers, and that did it for me. And then that solidified what I'm doing with the dealing with the Spiritual Coalition for Entertainment Professionals. I feel like I've been called by Spirit to do this. I'm putting a lot of time and energy into it, and things are coming to me, right? But it was just all on paper and in my head and an idea. This sunk it in deep into the nature of, oh, this is what I want to do. This Native American woman saging a place. So, it's something that I created the peaceful rally based on the 60s, where we're going to, next week, the following weekend, we're going to be going to my wife's studio and making posters and stuff like that with sayings on there that had to do with like the 60s that are going on today.
And Rich, how can people find out more about this rally that you're
just organizing? Go to spiritualcoalition.org.
Spiritualcoalition.org.
Yep.
Excellent.
And there'll be a place there you can sign up if you want to volunteer or help or in any way show up to make these changes that need to be made at this time. That don't you feel, Dean, that there's something out there that's waking us up, that's pulling us forward? I mean, hasn't it always been that humanity in the moments of crisis, there's like a renaissance that happens in the Dark Ages? It happened with the women's suffrage movement. And when people are angry, then something's ready to evolve.
Well, one of the questions I always ask is, how is this happening for me? And really standing there, being with it, and answering the question from my own intuition. And one of the things that we were talking about, and the question that you brought up, Rich, is, what if what we are witnessing is not destruction, but the birth of something greater? And that's what you were talking about with like the suffrage movement and the civil rights movement. These sprung out of a desire that change was in the air. Change was needed, and change always begins from the invisible.
Yes. Explain that. For people that don't understand.
There's something we call a mental equivalent, that there is a divine desire that you articulate, that we articulate in ourselves, and then bring it forward with the sense of the feeling tone of what that thing that we're desiring is. And it always begins from the invisible, that sense of feeling, that sense of the idea. What is the idea? It's like you were talking about with the peaceful protest, the peaceful rally, that there is an idea that you have got that is bringing people together to celebrate peace and celebrate love and celebrate the change that is taking place, these subtle changes that are taking place. I'm certainly feeling them, even when the transition was taking place, the vote in November, the transition in January of the political teams. I was like going, breathe, Dean, breathe, Dean, breathe, Dean. And even though I was coming predominantly from a place of peace, I had some fear, doubt, and worry going on.
Sure.
And I found relief going on over the last several weeks. There haven't been that many, it's only been a month, but that sense of relief is taking place, that belief that there is something unfolding that is for all of our highest and best good. And the action as a creative artist, it's been coming up in me as far as the music I'm working with, the possibilities of the plays that I'm working with, that and New Thought Tuesdays and Living in Concert with Life. That's where this is taking my ministry and tweaking it, as we always need to, for what's going on currently in our world, in our appearances, in our human experience. Just like, as you were saying, the Renaissance and the civil rights movement.
Yeah. Yeah.
Out of chaos, Dr. Holmes talks about, out of chaos, order is established. Because as you're looking at chaos, even the chaos theory, by observing chaos, you begin to create an order by what you observe. And in this apparent chaos, and my sense of research has been that there's a lot of chaos going on. There's confusion, there's misunderstanding, but out of this chaos, order is present.
Exactly. It's like the Big Bang. Okay. Out of that Big Bang, order came into, in other words, the planet is here because it's being pulled away and pushed away and pulled away, and it stays right where it's meant to be because of the forces of nature. And so isn't that the same thing with us? This thing has to explode like a volcano, erupts, settles down, then all of a sudden the vegetation starts to grow again. And weren't we asking for this? I know I myself, every time I vote, it was like, do I vote for the lesser of two evils? Really, what is it? There's no third party. There's no choice there, really. And so now this is all blown up. Who knows? Maybe there's a third party going to evolve from this. Maybe there's going to be a new way of government, a new way of the Constitution, of honoring the Constitution. Anything could happen. And I just, to me, it's all about, what do we want to focus on? What you focus on expands. Do we want to focus on a fight? Then we're going to get a fight. We want to focus on a peaceful understanding and rally for what we want, speak of what we want, think about what we want, talk about what we want. Then the universe is going to fulfill that. And if we get enough people talking about what we want, not what we don't want, if you look at the media now, everybody's talking about, we don't want this and we don't want that. Today they're voting on, what are they voting on? Medicaid and Medi-Cal. Okay, whether we can hold on to our Medicaid and Medi-Cal. And it's like, to me, it's like you focused on that. We're fighting for that. We're fighting against that. But in reality, what we're fighting for is for everybody to be taken care of, physically, mentally, emotionally, in this country, caring for your neighbor as you care for yourself. Love thy neighbor as they love thyself. And love thy God, before all else. But the God meaning not the God in the sky, but to me, it's the divine within, that spark within us, that beauty within us, that peace within us, that harmony within us, the joy within us that we want to share with others. So we should be focusing on that. If more and more people focused on that, would have a transformation, a really peaceful one, and one that will be for the highest good of all involved.
And that is what Rich and I are supporting today, that there is a stirring taking place, that there is an up-leveling of our leadership, of our political situation, where there are questions being brought to mind to be answered by our culture. And we're just about ready to get off here. But there are things like that we are having a rise to spiritual activism. Take a look at what you were saying as far as the peace movement that you're talking about, that you're inspiring, Rich, that shift from fear to faith, which is, whether it's this political environment or any other situation that brings up fear, the ability to identify fear and shift it to faith is one of the things that we stand for at New Thought Tuesday. And we stand for conscious leadership, not willy-nilly, not fearful, not one way or the other, but conscious of our whole quality, conscious of the energy of the world, not just of individual segments of the world. So these are some of the things that we're talking about, the rise of this New Thought perspective in governance, in not just having protests, but coming together and rallying together and supporting one another and supporting our divine desires. That's what we're all about here at New Thought Tuesdays. But we need to get into the inner circle, Rich. And for those of you who don't know what the inner circle is, you can go to newthoughttuesdays.com and you'll find out about what the inner circle is. It's where we talk more specifically and individually and confidentially about the topic of the day with the members of the inner circle. And this is a membership situation. And if you'd like to know more about it, you can also go to newthoughttuesdays.com and click on Rich's schedule to talk with him about joining the inner circle. Anything else before we go, my friend?
No, that was good. Stay awake, people.
Stay awake.
Stay connected.
Yes.
Stay connected. Okay. Well,
so till next time. See you next Tuesday.
Take care.